What's happening, folks? Back with another reaction, back with an anime score reaction, and one for the second season of a show I'm absolutely loving. I've been watching it with Michaela, but I eventually will do a watch-along for this on my Patreon, and that is A Certain Scientific Railgun, which, as I've discovered, is a spin-off show from A Certain Magical Index, and the main character of that show, Kamijo Toma, shows up in this show, A Certain Scientific Railgun, at various points, though he's used selectively, but in relation to the main character, Makoto Misaka, and Shirai Kuroko. So yes, ultimately this show, it's very complicated to try to explain in a condensed format. I'll just say it relates to a place called Academy City, which is this very hyper-advanced, ultra-modern city in Japan where young, talented students go to learn, especially espers, who are young people who can use what we would call magic, or they have techniques that are derived from certain abilities that normal people don't have. Now, not everyone in Academy City is an esper, but most of the main characters are. Not all of them, but most of the main characters, including, most notably, the character who's called Railgun, Makoto Misaka, who has an ability to use electricity and electrical discharges in a number of ways, most notably firing anything that is metallic, and her main technique in that regard is to use a coin and to use the electricity to fire it at great speed, which can obviously be used as a weapon, though for other purposes. And yes, all manner of craziness ensues, both on a personal level and right up to the biggest and most shadowy and conspiratorial storylines for Academy City as a whole. And in that regard, it's sort of like a sci-fi supernatural storyline mixed with a lot of slice of life, because all the main characters go to a middle school named Tokyo Wadai, and so there's a lot of, like, friends having fun and enjoying the simplicities of life scenes, but there's also a lot of combat and crazy, again, like conspiracies and shadowy figures doing things for nefarious purposes. So it's big, small, personal, dramatic, and sweeping. It's all of these things. And admittedly, some of my favorite moments are when it gets a bit bigger and more dramatic and the stakes get higher, especially, again, for the main two characters, Makoto Misaka and Shirai Kuroko. So yes, there are 3 seasons. The first season is just called A Certain Scientific Railgun. Then there is A Certain Scientific Railgun S. And then finally there is A Certain Scientific Railgun T. And actually, my understanding is they're in development right now for a 4th season. Now, these seasons have taken place over several years. I'm trying to remember what year the original show aired. I want to say maybe like early 2010s, and then a few years later they did A Certain Scientific Railgun S, and then A Certain Scientific Railgun T was 2018. So the series has been spread out a bit, which I assume relates to the writing and development of the manga, which again is an offshoot of the already existing universe of A Certain Magical Index, which again has a main character who is sort of peripheral in this show, but does come in and play a huge role at some different points, including in moments but where we hear this tune that we're about to hear, which is The Only Way, and which I relate to. We've heard it a few times over the course of the 3 seasons that I've seen, but I always think of it specifically in relation to a storyline of the 2nd season, A Certain Scientific Railgun S, where, and I don't really want to spoil it, but I'll just say that there's some real stakes and lives are being destroyed. Literally, people are being killed, and Makoto Misaka resolves herself to take care of this, even at the cost of her own life, and Kamijo Toma gets involved and wants to do what he can to help and to maybe protect Misaka from, killing herself in the process of trying to stop this, but she, doesn't want anyone else to be endangered and so on. and they have a bit of a standoff on this bridge because, again, she wants to go stop the bad things that are happening. He wants to help do that, but she doesn't want him to get involved. It's not his business, and they have a bit of a standoff, and this tune plays. And again, this show, which can be so light and funny and simple, a lot of comedy, a lot of slice of life, friends getting treats and enjoying the simplicities of school life, can suddenly get very big and dramatic, and this tune plays in the bigger and more dramatic moments. The soundtrack, at least for the second season, A Certain Scientific Railgun S, is done by, make sure I have this right, it is... Yeah, Iuchi Maiko. Iuchi Maiko, said in the Japanese way, meaning the given name being Maiko and the surname or family name being Iuchi or Iuchi. But yes, this is a tune called The Only Way by Iuchi Maiko, and the track comes from the second season of the show, A Certain Scientific Railgun S. think everything that I've come to associate with that tune is encapsulated in the sonics. There's a bit of ominous foreboding, especially in the beginning, which might be my favorite part, those deep ambient chords. Absolutely love it. But also a personal emotion, the touches of the piano, and then a resolve, a sweeping, inspired call to action, which the second half of the tune really, suggest a motion and activity to fix and to fix problems and not let darker forces win. It all comes across in the tune. And I actually thought of a scene it's used very effectively in the third season, A Certain Scientific Railgun T, when a character named Congo, which again, I won't spoil anything about, but she's a complicated character and one that evolves over time. But there's a scene involving her in the third season when this track plays, and it hits just as good. So again, this will be after I finish going through Shangri-La and maybe Trigun Stampede, because I would like to go through that. It's shorter than the original Trigun. There's fewer episodes, but it is a reimagining of the original Trigun. So maybe after I do that, certainly after I finish Shangri-La, we will go through A Certain Scientific Railgun, all 3 seasons. And who knows, maybe by that time there'll be more information about when to expect the 4th season, though I don't imagine that I'd have it on Blu-ray yet. In any case, the point is we will go through this show. It is absolutely worth it. I do look forward to going through more of this soundtrack. I have 2 discs of the soundtrack from Season S, which is the 2nd season, as well as another folder that I got. Oh, and it's for Season T. Oh, and seemingly, yeah, I have a second version of what I guess is Season 1, because it just says A Certain Scientific Railgun soundtrack 2. So yeah, we've got lots of tunes from this show over the course of 3 seasons to go through. Let me know what you think. I'll see you next time. Peace.